Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Foundations of Rome, the newest Emerson Matsuuchi game. Probably one of the most overproduced games in existence. I don't think Santorini holds that claim anymore, because this game could literally be a tile placement, and it would be it would work the exact same.
And just be a little bit easier to see.
Yeah, most likely.
But not nearly as impressive.
Yeah, like it definitely has table presence. So, I am very curious. What are your guys' thoughts on Foundations of Rome?
I will offer my opinion.
Yeah, that's the one who won.
Right.
Well, that was again something that surprised me. Which
I thought I was gonna get one of those.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting there and I'm like, I think I have most size 2, but I didn't.
Yeah. I was trying to maximize, but I wasn't paying attention to anyone else.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I knew you were going for like most buildings, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna beat him on that one. But I tried to beat you on size 1, which I was literally 1 behind you every single time.
Right.
Sorry. So when I first heard about the game and I read through basically somebody reading through the rules explaining how to play an online video just to prep for it, I went, maybe.
Yeah.
This is one of those games. There are games that I go, first time I play, I go, this is great. I know I'm going to love this one for a very long time. There are games that, even on page 2 of the rules, I go, no, not the game for me. And this one I wasn't sure about.
Right.
I could see it going either way.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It's simple enough to learn and it's simple enough to understand, despite my foibles.
Right.
But it's definitely got strategy and math behind it. And it also has so much as open that you can really, again, the offensive and defensive.
Yeah.
You
Right.
play it both ways in a balance.
Mm-hmm.
I could see some people getting bogged down in the analysis.
Yeah.
And so, I just cut myself off at some point and committed. But no, I think this is going to be good and fun to play a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you play it right.
Well,
Right.
So that's actually 2 things. I think, so the first time, I'm not even really going to count. Like, that was just setting it up completely incorrectly. But the other time we played, we took it as everyone gets their population score. And then the person in front also gains a bonus.
And that might have been the original rules, because I think that's what I saw on the video for a pre-release version.
Well, thank God they changed it, because
Yeah.
that is the most dog shit rule. Because that means every other building is useless except population. And it hinges down on so much luck of where it's like, oh man, lucky me, I'm getting the ones that let me put my 6 out before everyone.
Right.
And I also get 15 points, and now I get 7 more on top of that.
Yep.
But now, when I was looking at it, because we've played this multiple times, it's like all of us have played it multiple times, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, is population really the way to win? I'm like, that's so
It's
fucking
the only
annoying.
way.
Yeah, I was like, is that the only way to win? That's so stupid. And then I was looking at it, and then it said players with the least. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's worded a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Then I looked at it, I read it, I'm like, what, the player ahead of them? Oh,
Yeah.
it's significantly better. There's a catch-up mechanic. You don't want to blow your lead too early on population, because you're just giving your opponents more points. It's like, you still get your points, so it doesn't take anything away from the player in the front. But I think the population now hinges more on placement of your buildings.
Right.
So, because it's like, yeah, I'm going to get a bonus, and the bonus isn't nothing. But
No.
now it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to get popular. I'm going to get, 15 points because I'm in last. And I'm also going to get a bunch of points because I happen to place more civic buildings in optimum spots than you guys did.
Right.
Right.
And,
What it really does is if you're in last place in population, it gives you no incentive to try to catch up in that area.
Right.
You look everywhere else.
It's, yeah,
Which
you're
is
right.
a nice balance.
It is. It's different.
Yeah.
I think, and I think it almost. And initially, I can feel like leaving a bit. I feel like this game is going to be. I can't see a lot of people being like, it's all right. I feel like this is one you love it or you hate it.
I can see that.
And I'll explain why I think people can hate it. I do like this game. I think it's. From what I need to look up Emerson Matsuuchi as a designer, because his name is super familiar, but I don't know if I've played a lot of his games. But from what I understand, he takes very simple concepts. Like you said, this game is very easy to learn. Hey, on your turn, you do one of these 3 things, and they're the easiest actions you can take. Buy a card, place a building in that spot, or take money.
And I mean, so as complex or as much as there's board present, there's 5 icons in the entire game.
Yeah.
Just 5 icons.
Yep. So, and I think that's
They're very distinctly different.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's a brilliance of game design. Too many games come out where it becomes a bog of rules and icons to try and make their games deep. And it's like, well, this one is simple, and it's also a deep gameplay.
Right.
The fewer rules, the more strategy there ends up being.
Right. I will go ahead. Before I let Zach talk, the one thing I do think this game is bad at 2. I do believe that this is a bad 2-player game, but find one other person, and it's an extremely solid 3-player game. All right, Zach, what are your thoughts?
I like it. It's solid placement. So if you don't like what I call the randomness of buying deeds, you can draft at the beginning of the game because, like, we were everywhere. Like,
yes,
it was literally like if we had all blindfolded ourselves and just start throwing darts at the board to choose our starting locations. That's how random it was. I think you were the only one with 2 tokens that were actually orthogonal to itself.
That is very true.
But I almost kind of liked it better because, like, by the end, while we were, fighting more for actual spots, but it also allowed you some freedom of saying, like, okay, if I don't get this one, it's fine because
there's 3 other spots around
that
it.
might help that because there's enough basically variation that it could connect. So I thought that was enjoyable. It is interesting. Era 1, you're kind of like just buying, kind of hoping and going with it, and it's like, okay, I think I'm going to try to control this area a little bit, and that's it. Era 2 is like, okay, now I'm going to start consolidating. I see what you're building. How do I maximize my build off of you while not allowing it to open up weaknesses in my build areas?
But it's very interesting that you talk about the setup. Either because the 2 games we played tonight were total opposites. The one that was for the run through was everywhere, and the one that was before that was we were all consolidated into one area.
Right.
So they bring in 2 totally different ways to play without changing how you're playing.
100%.
The first one where everyone's together, it's like, boom, I'm going to start off really strong, but now my opponent is going to get to capitalize off that. I'm going to be able to place my 6 right off the bat. Yeah, you can't compete with that, but wait a minute, you're going to get 6 points because you just have the one right next to it.
Yeah, and you can never move it, so we know.
You're right, yeah. And then the one time in the game before that, it's like, you placed, I think, the one that was for money next to it, when Brett and I placed right next to that, so then we had to build to then take that away. Yeah.
Which wasn't my strategy, but it worked out.
Right.
Right, and at the time, it didn't really hurt me that you did, because I then just changed that building itself again.
Right.
If it wasn't fully surrounded, you may have that chance.
Right, which
you did.
Which I did, because I purposely was like, okay, I can't just leave that by itself, so I need to buy up those properties. Plus, you guys kind of wanted the same area, so it was a little bit more area control for that one spot. Where, like, this game, I felt much more like there were a couple spots that were in contention, but realistically, again, there were so many open spots that you could go and move around to somewhere.
Yeah, for me, because you didn't do the objectives.
No, because at the beginning of the game, I was thinking population was the other way. It's like, I'll ignore the objectives. I don't need to buy it. And by the time we figured it out, it's Era 3. And it's like, well, I can't change my strategy at this point.
Right, yeah. Because I was going off of those, and also the one where I needed more commercial buildings.
Right.
And it super duper sucks that the population is the way it is, because Brett almost took 2 buildings out and replaced it with 1, so then I would have tied him on 2 things.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, yay! But he's like, no, I'll keep it there. Because, him gaining 2 population just gives me 2 extra points.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is...
But I probably would have done that if I had not understood that rule, or we had not been playing that way.
Right.
Which would have changed the objectives as well.
Because I think I would have beat you out on one of them. On the one for one building.
Yeah.
So then I would have tied you on the most, so we both would have gained 8, then I would have gained 8. You still would have won because you got 1 more than I did, so...
Well, except the fact that he's not gaining 23 points, he's gaining 15.
It would have put me at
instead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 93. He would have dropped down to 97.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot closer. But even then, drastically different ways to play.
Right.
You winning population on every single one.
Was basically winning 2 of those objectives.
Yeah, that's true. But Brett came out with 99 and then 88 to 85.
Yeah.
Like, is really
Oh,
good.
yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
pretty close.
Well, and I leapfrogged into the lead because of those. I would
Right.
not have won without objectives.
Right.
But we also would have played a little differently.
Yeah, I
probably
wouldn't have been pumping out bakeries and all that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I figured that's why you guys are putting all the 1 buildings on the edge, just because of objectives.
Well, because it's also interesting.
Well, I was doing it because I could do it on that same turn.
Right.
Yeah, that
most
was
of the game.
your ability was easily. I definitely didn't use my role like as opportunistic as I probably could have. Mainly because it's like I didn't know what was coming out.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much like obviously I'm doing this to make whatever comes out cheaper. I don't want any of these.
Right.
I'm gonna pop that out. But every time a card
Or it's
came
a
out-
screw you. Or it's a screw the other player mechanic. Either way.
Yes, and it did work either way. But for me, it's like, okay, well, I don't want any of these. Let's pop that out, and then okay, well, that's still not anything I want. But
Right.
it's, I do think all the player roles are still balanced though, because you were limited to level 1s. Where if you popped out your level
Yeah.
1s, and you're like, okay, well,
And I had to pay 2 extra, which I wasn't able to do on several occasions.
right.
Right. And I think I scored 5 extra points for mine.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, 5 extra points, which is the difference between second and third.
Right.
So it's fascinating on this game because here's why I think people can hate it. There is hate drafting, absolutely, in this game,
100%.
like 100%. But which I normally am completely against. But my version of hate drafting is I'm taking this so you don't have it. It doesn't help me at all. This doesn't have that. This
Right.
is I'm taking this because I know you need it. Like obviously that gives like if you were able to get B4,
Right.
then that just lets you place that. So or whatever the reason may be, it's like okay, well, like I'm taking this just to stop people from putting out their really good buildings.
Right.
But that's also a spot that I can still place.
Yeah. The
Right.
civic buildings, because they play off of anybody's.
Which thank God they do.
yeah.
Right.
It would have been so bad if they only played off yours. And not all, the civic buildings, some of them are just really good
Yeah.
on where you're putting them. But I also like the fact that even if you buy one and you never use it, it's still a point
At the end
at
of
the
the
end of the
game.
game. Like, it's not nothing.
Yep.
The only reason, like, I think I'm even in contention is because of the fact that the money ones
Are
get
points.
Well, what's really cool is one, you do one income action, and it's like if you get your 4 out, then it's like one that's 5 points at the end of the game. But that's also I'm gonna do an income that gives me 15.
Right.
Gives me or whatever 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, or 6, 9. It gives you 14.
Right.
And that means I really need that card that lets me buy that
Right.
immediately. And in Era 3, it's double victory points. It's okay,
Right.
that gives me 11 plus the 2, 3, 2, 4,
Right.
7,
Right.
12. So it is I do think the buildings are all balanced.
Oh yeah, like honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I had an objective to have fewest commercial buildings on the board, I don't know. I would have not pumped out as heavy with population. as I did.
Right.
I honestly, because I was still beating Brett like over here, like 18, I think, with enough spot that even if he started placing to try to beat it out, it's like I would have not placed that 6. I would have definitely placed this 3 there because that's 8 points right there by
Right.
itself, which is more than the 6 points we're going to be.
Yeah, it's because the money ones don't feel as great immediately. Hell, even though
Right.
the only reason I have as many out as I do is because of my objective was to have the most on the edge.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, well I have one on the edge, so that helps.
Right.
Yeah. Mostly I just put mine out, like I put my small ones out as soon as I got a deed, and then spent the next 2 turns just collecting money,
Right.
and then replace them with a bigger building.
Yeah, which is
The right.
Which,
honestly,
which
it's a
then I
good
cycle the
move.
whole thing
which
around
also
again.
for the record, actually looking back on it, could he place a 2 on those 2 1s?
I think so.
Should be able to.
Well, because it's still a 2 plot.
Yeah, but the rule just says it has to be a larger building.
Does it have to be a larger
Every
building?
building has to be larger than what it replaces.
Than what it's replacing. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
But it's a valid question because
Right. Because I guess the plots don't actually.
yeah, you can have a smaller plot. Well, I mean because you put your counters back
Right.
on anything left exposed, so you can change the shape.
Because
It's
that's
just-
the same thing as because we've even done where you took away the 1 and the 2 building to put a 3 building there.
Yeah, it strategically it makes a lot of sense, but strategically it kind of sucks that you can't replace it with the same size because that locks you in some areas.
Yeah, and I see why they did that. They did it more mechanically, just
Yeah.
so
It's
like.
gonna slow everything
I
down
like that
even
mechanic.
No, I
honestly.
do. You can't build
Yeah,
on
you
the side.
can't-
No,
you
I
gotta go
agree.
up.
Because all it would have done is like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to take this lesser one and change because I don't like where that's at.
Right,
Now-
because someone else counters your move.
Yeah, it's
with
like you
it.
countered my move. Okay, well, placing it up here is way better. Like,
Right.
And I was mad at myself because I was like, oh shit, like I could put it here and that gives me 10 points instead of the 5. But I was like, well, it's already there.
Right.
And I couldn't upgrade. Well, actually, so actually, funny enough, the rules aren't super clear on the building. So it says, damn it, where is it? You may build on empty lots you own. You may also build over a building you constructed early, but only if the new building is bigger than any individual one you are building over.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so theoretically, I actually could have placed my 6 here.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And then it pops both of those back.
Right.
Yeah, all the extra spots would go back
And
to
then
your
that one
tokens.
could, and then now I own that.
Right.
Yep.
So that you could place another Civic.
Yep. That would have been smarter on my end because then it would have given me my 6, and I could have placed that there.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really cool because the only time you are ever locked in is when you build your really big, which there are only 4
3. I
4
think.
level
4.
4s. Yeah. You
because
have to-
there
there's
are-
2 in money and 2 in population.
yes. Yeah.
2 long ones, 1 for each, and
Yeah,
then
you're
2
right.
squares. Same as there are 2 3s in both section, and then
2 1s, 2
2
2s.
2s.
Same
Yeah.
shapes. They're all the same shapes.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, very well balanced.
It's super fascinating because it's like there's not actually the game. The game's massive.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
one because their storage is super great. It's just like boop. Okay, here's your piece.
Right.
But you. The game looks like, oh man, that's huge. It's gonna have so many rules.
And
Not at all.
again, component-wise, so ignore buildings. Trays are nice.
Mm-hmm.
They have the cardboard with the inset for your buildings to all sit in.
Yep.
Each individual marker has its own spot. It's not just a straight cutout line.
thank
It's
God,
so
yeah.
much better.
Yep.
So, I mean, just what I call the
And-
extras of production.
And the
we're
player
gonna
rate
put
built
into it.
right into the tray.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Whenever it's like, oh, I would like to take income. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Right.
5. Okay.
So all of this, what I call just again the simplicity and the detail of it is amazing.
Yeah. Do you guys have any negatives on the game?
Just the one.
Yeah.
Just the one.
Oh.
And it's tiny and nitpicky, but it's true. Is with the size of these, sometimes it's hard to see what I'm doing or where I am or what I've got left open.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah. Which
Tiny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
And
still-
this is a wider table. Than
It is a
it's
wider
ideal
table.
for it.
It's for the most part not a problem.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
but there was even one I couldn't see my own piece till you flipped it around.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, it's like you could be buying a card because you're like, okay, yeah, I want that, but then not realize, oh wait a minute, I own that one. Oh,
Right.
so it's a little in the way.
Yeah.
It's a little in the way.
As I
but-
said, I was grasping for something.
Right.
And I found something
Yeah.
tiny.
So my complaint will be what I call kind of general. If you don't want to play a chance game, you know, where there's randomness out there and it's hard to plan like what you're actually going to build where, then this game isn't going to be enjoyable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so, I mean, I don't know if that's a super negative. It's just a general warning. Like, it's chance. You're
Right.
flipping it from a deck, and the thing is, like, oh, I really need this card. Oh, it's not era 1. Okay, let's hope it's an era 2.
Yeah.
Nope, not
Or I
era
don't
2.
or I don't have the money. Shit, somebody else bought it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, by era 3, like, I was keeping at least 8 coins because, like, I want a specific card. If it pops, I need to, more than likely by the time, if it pops on my turn, hopefully someone else buys a deed. If they don't, then they're probably not even going for mine that they're want at that point.
Yeah,
and I have the time to do it.
Yeah, and having to take a whole turn to take money hurts.
Yes.
Because also at the same time, the fact that the eras end, when you take the last one, you still get a turn.
Right.
So you get to be like, oh great, I gained something and I don't waste it out on anyone.
But I think is kind of the advantage of that is you do get an extra turn, but now the next was 6 cards. I'm last on picking them.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have to plan. Like I was planning pretty consistent. Like era 1, I want to make sure I have some money in case that number 10 card comes up and I want that 10.
Which is what I did earlier.
Right.
I hoarded a bunch of money, and then by the end I had spent it all, and I'm just swapping buildings.
Especially with your power. I mean, the ability, like, honestly, you did it right. Put up a couple extra 1 coins out early, collect 3 rounds of money, ignore everything else, and then just
your ability
pop up
was
buildings.
so built for those objectives.
Yes.
Like, it was easily the one that was like... So, in all reality, we fucked up by not recognizing that and being like, oh, he can...
And I was, like, ignoring those objectives.
Yeah.
Because, I was just going for the
I was
population.
trying to compete, but you just had the action efficient. It's like, I technically had the plots to compete. I was only 1 behind, but you're basically 1 turn ahead. Because you can be like, oh, I have the money. I'm gonna buy that. Because I wanted fucking A1. I wanted. There were so many I wanted, and there were too many out for the edges. And I'm like, okay, I'll get this edge. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna buy that for 2, and then pay 2 to place it. It's like, fuck.
Well, then is this roll overpowered?
No,
No,
absolutely
because
not.
again, there's so many secret objectives. Let's say this objective.
Well, this was open.
He's talking about the. He's kind of competing.
But I'm saying yours was great because of those 3 objectives. Say if it was these 3 objectives, the secrets, and those were our individual secret ones instead.
That's true.
That would have not been even close to as powerful.
Yeah.
As it was. So again, because it's random,
coincidentally,
and theoretically, I randomized the rolls,
Yep.
because that's kind of a house rule. So if I had handed you 2, you probably would have been like, "Oh, this sounds good, but this one might be better." It's one of those things. But the simplicity of this game, and he did his only notable games. He did Spectre Ops, which I don't like. I don't even know if he was main designer on that. But the biggest one is the Century Spice Road games, Century Golem and all those, which I haven't played. But apparently they're kind of the same thing, turn cubes into other cubes.
right.
But we were talking about games, a while back. I think you and I, especially on Founders of Teotihuacan, is taken simple ideas and it now becomes, I need to read the other players. Like I said, Zach and I messed up by seeing how efficient yours are and how well they synergize with those. We shouldn't have been letting you buy the locations that are on the edge. Because it came down to a point where you grabbed them all, so then it's like, because you can't steal plots.
Right.
Well, technically, there's a way. there's a variant you can add, which doesn't sound as bad as I initially thought. I think you were away from the table when I mentioned it.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought.
Where it's just like, it's a trading and stealing module, which I'll bring up in a sec. But yeah, so it now comes down to the players are playing against each other versus like the roles.
Yeah.
And the randomization of this is, again, I just think there's just so many options that it's like, oh, I really, really want that one. Like, yeah, someone might buy it just because they realize how good it is for you, and that might piss a lot of people off.
Right.
Like, and I really don't have a defense for that. Like,
don't play this game. That's
true.
This game is just not going to be for you.
That is true.
If that's going to piss you off, because there is hate drafting in the sense of, I see you want this, it doesn't hurt me to take it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to take it
but
away
it
from you.
definitely hurts you more.
It hurts you more.
Yeah.
Then you're just not going to want to play this game.
Right.
So if high chance of just random cards coming out, and the fact that there is going to be hate drafting, even what I call, not even like aggressive hate drafting, you also, like, because we were both fighting for this area, right?
Yeah.
So you took ones that I wanted.
Yeah.
I took ones you wanted
that's
in the
what
same
I
area.
was literally about to say, it balances out. It's not
Right.
one person getting dicked on. It's like,
Because we both had tokens in that area, so we were both, in essence, fighting for control of that.
Right, but it's also interesting the way I'm looking at the board. So I'm definitely the most spread out of all my buildings. You're also kind of spread out. I say you, but Brett's really like locked up this half pretty much with all of his buildings, and he's kind of has a few over here.
Again, I was going for, I want to try and do one set of buildings, so as long as I get a location where I can build that set, I don't need it to be close because I wasn't going for civics.
And I saw that, I don't know what that one's called, the Grand Insula. I saw that you were building that. I had multiple ways to just take it.
Right.
To just be like, oh, I'm going to pop that away from him so he can't put a 4 down.
Right.
But I didn't. I actively chose not to because I was trying to go for these.
Right.
Not realizing that Brett was one ahead of me on every single one of them.
Neither did Brett.
You lie. And I do not think the Era 1 residential building scoring's changed. It's like I might have gotten like 3 more points.
Right,
Like,
I mean...
I don't care that much.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, this game is very short.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it's...
Yeah.
Ours was less than an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
What's it rated as? Does it say?
Huh?
I
Does
don't
it say
see
what
it
it's
on the my
projected
side.
as?
60
40
minutes.
60 minutes.
Yep. One,
So one box that actually spoke the truth.
well, it depends on the number of players, of course. But here's the other thing, is that's also where each of us was waiting for everyone's turn. If I knew I was going to take income, I could just be like, hey, I'm taking income.
Right.
Just skip, like, okay, your turn's over, just go straight to you. Because there's nothing, I cannot think of a reason of knowing someone taking income changes your strategy.
It would just be knowing that they're not going to take one of the cards you're gunning for.
Because if you have, let's
Yeah.
say, 3 coins and there is a potential contention spot right there, then maybe.
But even then, it doesn't change, because, like,
Yeah, it's
you
not
have
gonna
to
really
wait for
change-
me to do it
right,
anyway.
it's not gonna change mine.
So if I have 3 coins and you're like, he might buy that card, well, you still have to wait for me to
Right.
decide what to do. The only thing I can see is that maybe you might, like, let's say this is, because 6 is probably like I could get it for cheaper. Let's say we both have 6 money. Or I have less. It's like, okay, well, it might force you to pay more knowing, like, or not knowing that I'm taking money. So you might rush to buy a card.
Right.
But
I don't think it drastically will change it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, even if you just say, wait your turn, and you just say, I'm collecting money, and then the next person just goes.
That's true.
Doesn't even have to wait for you to actually collect
yeah,
your
be like,
money.
I'm getting
Right. And so, I don't know I don't know you're speeding up that much because, again, if I know I'm collecting money on my turn while waiting for your turn to complete, I've probably already calculated the amount. I just need to actually go pick up
and grab
coins.
it. Yeah. But you can definitely make it
But you can make it a little faster.
a little bit cleaner. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, I really don't have any negatives. Like, I also really like the cleanness of these deed cards. Like, he didn't like it's super easy to set up. How many players? Okay, we just need the gray cards for 2.
Right.
3, I just need to add the blue cards.
Yep. Right.
You shuffle them. That's it. There's no, well, these are the starting plot cards. It's You can have, this just is set up how it's set up.
Right.
And then you do nothing with them. You don't have to keep them all sprayed out in some weird way. It's just pile.
But like we had the one time where buildings had gone
We had,
shifted.
like,
But it's like, I'm pretty sure that's not true. So we just flipped through. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
yep, everybody just move those buildings down,
Right.
and there it is.
Yeah, or looking at what's available, and it's like,
Right.
hey, who has G6?
Right.
Like, because that should be taken. It's just so clean.
And the double-sided board.
Double-sided board, yeah, for new players. I like that.
I like that.
I like seeing the board filled up,
Yeah.
like how it's all, except for these two because I suck.
Yeah, I got it.
But just
Ooh.
that
And you
cleanness.
don't have to remember, at least in the early stages, no, those strips aren't here.
Right. So there's actually a couple things that. What do you guys think of the? Because this is a game where the players dictate how long the arrows are. What do you guys think of that strategy?
I like the control.
Yeah.
I am actually a fan of that.
Yeah.
I always like that in games too, where
Yeah.
it's like this era is as long or as short as the players are needing it to be. Like when
Right.
you had all those, because you had a bunch there, and it's like, all right, Brett, let's start buying.
Which is why, because I think you bought, it's like C5 over there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have been waiting the entire game for that one to go out. But it's on the 4th. And I'm pretty sure as soon as I buy that, they're just going to end the game. And I still have a lot of tokens out, so I think it's better for me to start putting out buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else is going to buy it. I've already secured the 4 spot because it's before I placed that 4 building out.
Yeah.
And it's like, because that's what I was going to do before you bought. It's like, I was just going to transform that building into a 4 building.
Yeah. Well, my plan was to place one of the monuments there and gain points for that, but I actually was trying to go for those.
Right.
So I was like, well, I don't need to take those. They're on the inside, so who cares?
Right. So I actually like that.
2-player game, it sucks.
2-player game, it sucks.
Because it just comes down to buy deed. I'm going to win because it's just me gaining population.
Right.
Like, the population bonus. And it's,
yeah, 2-player, the population bonus is enough to just wipe you out.
Yeah, because if you can just start buying deeds, and I also love the fact that you just can't buy them to hoard them. You have to have the plot markers. So eventually you have to place a building to get some back.
Which multiple times, like Era 1, that's where it actually slowed me down. It's like, I kept buying and buying. It's like, oh, well, I'm out, so I gotta actually do something.
Right. And then you might lock yourself in, and you're like, I don't want that there. Or I place it there, hey, I'm going to get 4 points. Oh, nope, I'm swapping this out for something. I'm swapping this out.
Right.
Yeah.
That also worked with your objective to collect a large area and then place a big building on it.
Right.
Score the bonus. Which wasn't a broken bonus by any stretch, just a nice little...
Yeah. So they have a bunch of modules. Like I said, they have a co-op, which no idea what that's about. Yeah. Invocations module is... after all players have received their starting deeds, shuffle the invocations and deal 9 face down at random. Shuffle 3 cards into each era deck. Oh, it becomes kind of like events, like in... Have you guys played Orleans?
I haven't, but I know of it, yeah.
So now this becomes something you can purchase. And so, for example, there's one called Patron of Thieves. Only use this card when playing with the... Oh, sorry. I don't have the thing. But... They look like... Oh, hey, the player roles module. It is right there. I wasn't seeing that. But yeah, they're special abilities. Like, if we're playing with the trading and stealing module, other players cannot steal lots from you. If playing with hidden objectives, you may first secretly look at all the face-down objectives. So now they become something that gets thrown in that you might buy. And it's a one-time use, it looks like.
Right.
Once purchased, invocation cards are kept face down in the player's play area until used. So that's interesting. Yeah. We did the objectives. So here's how the stealing works. Because you can trade lots for each other. But here's how stealing works, because that seems to be the more dick one. Is you can't ever steal... You can't seize a building. Only empty lots. Right. But there's two other stipulations. You must own at least 2 lots and or buildings orthogonally adjacent to the one you wish to steal. And you must have at least 1 2 victory point favor token. And you flip it to the 4 point and give it to the player you're stealing from. So, haha! If that wasn't here, I would have beat you by 1 point.
If I stole something.
Which you would have, Era 1, without a doubt. But you might have gotten points for that.
Right.
But, so, that makes it very, very interesting, because some people might also not like the fact that, oh, it's first come, first serve. I got that one before you, lucky me.
Right.
It's like, okay, I can't do anything about where you place that. Actually, we'll... Put in that stealing module. Now you can. You're giving them 4 points. But you're also limited on how you're stealing. How many you are. Yeah. This is a very fascinating game that I was not... I don't know what I was expecting, actually.
Maybe you're expecting a whole bunch of rules with the boxes.
I was expecting not a bloated game. I was expecting a very pretty game with no substance to it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, this game looks great. It's for 3-year-olds.
Which it's not.
It is not.
I am happy for the fact that 2 of us both said, oh, is this like Acquire when we first looked at the game?
That's true, which I have never played.
Just because it's a grid and it's drafted for...
Is it still like Acquire?
No.
Okay.
No. We should play Acquire just so you understand how different it is.
I gotcha. Yeah. Now I think is this better than Acquire?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think I'm good.
Acquire was an excellent American strategic game in the 60s.
Okay.
Yes.
Just like Catan was a fantastic game when it came out.
Yeah.
And now all of its mechanics have been done better.
Right. And a lot of people hate Catan. Yeah. Or I always called it Catan. I don't know.
So did I.
Well, it used to be called Settlers of Catan. Now they removed the Settlers
I
part.
know, and I still have the Settlers edition.
So, and they also have the Monuments. That is actually an expansion,
Right.
which
Right.
adds neutral, that have like special abilities or conditions on which to buy. So that's fascinating. I want to try that.
That's a lot of versatility.
Yeah. All right. You guys got anything else?
Yeah, can we play with some of the other expansions?
Uh,
Not right now. I'd be really curious about the cooperative because
I am
it's got a
too.
really good
Monuments
chance
is why I'm.
of being bad.
I want to try Monuments
I
as well.
want to try Monuments. Have you seen the Monuments?
Have not.
They are glorious.
They look really cool. Like some of them like are.
I have no idea what they actually do, but they just look like they will provide board presence.
One of them, I wish it actually said.
One takes up 2/3 of the board.
in the back.
It is
It
the
actually,
Acropolis.
it actually gives you some lore on the monuments, like the Colosseum, the Flavian Amphitheater, more commonly known as the Colosseum, is the primary venue for gladiatorial contests, animal hunts, dramatic performances, and public executions.
Right.
Yeah, I think the Colosseum
Sometimes
was
in the same show.
all the, or like the Colosseum was like when you place this, all other players gain money, like that are next to it. So yeah. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you guys give Foundations of Rome?
I can't find the flaws to bring it down from a 10.
For me, it's an 8.
8.
Yep.
I'm gonna split the difference. I'm at a 9. I am.
Wrong, you suck!
How dare you not agree with me?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I theoretically also can't think of any. Well, no, I can. The hate drafting still makes me a little sad when I like have my eye on a card and I'm just like,
Right.
I don't have the money for it, and they're not gonna let me have it. There's no way it's coming back around to me.
Or
I guess I'll take
I
income.
just happened to have 10 when it came out, and
Right.
it was
Right.
gone before anyone had a chance.
Yeah, like I think 2 times it was like, okay, I can get that one. Then you bought it. It's like, okay, I can get that one. Then Brett bought it.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like,
Well, I'll do something else.
And to me, that's where it comes down to an 8.
Yeah.
For me, it's
yeah,
there's
it's like
a lot of chance, and there's hate drafting in it.
right. Yeah, like again, it's not petrichor like
Right.
hate playing. It's like, hey, no, it's like the 2 you took I wanted, but okay, well that one's still good, and now it's cheaper. Okay, so there's still options. It's not like, oh well, fuck me, I guess. You
It's
know,
still an excellent game. So, I mean, to put a little bit of perspective,
Oh, yeah, 8's
before
great.
we're giving it a score, we're like, but let's play it again, and let's add this expansion to it instead.
right.
And it's not like, oh, we need to try this expansion because this game was terrible. It's like, no, I kind of want to just explore more of this game.
Exactly. And it all came in the box. It's
Right.
modules that it's like. So the Monuments is the only thing they call an expansion. Everything else is just a module. Oh,
Right.
hey, now everyone gets a roll.
Right.
Because I'm also curious. What was the points you got? You got 24 points off of that. What does that bring them down to? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I was trailing.
Put them at 75.
Yeah.
Actually. So
Way.
yeah, but still in terms of first to second, second to third is still relatively
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Hell, let's say even if he got 1, that puts him at 83.
Right.
No, yeah, 83, which makes it very, very close.
Right.
So,
But that means somebody else would have gotten the other, and it would have spread it out again.
you're right. You're right.
But again, I would say just the very fact it was a pretty tight game all around.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have objectives.
Well, yeah, you had a very steady score progression.
Yeah.
You took the early lead, especially in population, and were
And
able
then
to
you had the
maintain
end
that.
game.
And then I just
That's true.
jumped right up at the end.
That is
that's,
true.
That's
And I'm
balance.
even looking at this and I'm like, oh, fuck, I could have played way more optimal. Like,
Right.
Like I'm looking at spots I could have placed instead. I mean, it turns out, like looking back, it's like, oh, I should have bought this instead. So it's like when I lose a game, the only time I'm ever upset is when I can't figure out why.
Right.
Like, okay, am I just dumb? Is it me, or is it the game? And I blame the game because then I don't feel bad. But like, if it's like, oh, I could have done that. I could have done that. Okay, I'll do that next time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We're
I'm,
already planning how to play next time.
right. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Still an 8.
Yep. Still
Cool.
it.
All right. Still out of 10.
Sure.
Cool. All right. That's our thoughts on Foundations of Rome, everyone. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.